next issue that we have on tap for today is one that you may or may not be familiar with. The death penalty. All right, so who can give me a definition in your own words of what you think the death penalty is? Hunter.
It's pretty much a sentence given to people that have committed extraordinarily heinous crimes that entails them dying under lethal injection.
Very good. That's a very excellent description. I don't think I could do it any better myself. I'm just going to write basically what Hunter said, just a little simpler. We're going to call it the use of execution as a form of punishment for extreme criminals. And that's exactly what Hunter said. Using execution as a form of punishment for extreme criminals. Okay. All right, so now we have two sides when it comes to the death penalty. And remember, are these 100% facts for both parties? No, you can disagree and still be a member of that particular party, just so you're aware. All right, but we will start with the Democrats. All right, the Democrats do, I'm going to put doesn't, agree, typically, in taking a person's life as a form of discipline, punishment. What argument do the Democrats provide? Arguments do the Democrats provide to support their claim that they don't think it is useful, necessary to use the death penalty for a form of punishment? Blake.
It being inhumane would be
Okay, they could use the constitutional argument in that it is cruel and unusual.
It's expensive.
Cruel and unusual. It is expensive. If you look at the numbers, the majority of death row inmates are on there for a lot of years, 20, 25 years, because they are allowed many appeals. And that appeals process, if you didn't know, you have the right to an attorney. And attorneys are very expensive, and so it costs a lot of money to process all of these. Don't just think of it in terms of, well, we kept them alive for 25 years, and that's 3 meals a day. That's not it. It's attorneys' fees. Attorneys make hundreds of dollars an hour. Okay, so that's very expensive. All right, so and it's expensive. What else? Is it possible that someone innocent could be executed?
Yes, that's happening.
Kill innocent people. It's possible. Okay. Anything else?
I would see this immoral.
Okay. I don't want to call it immoral. That would be more of a Republican word.
With
Unethical, if you keep going. Explain why.
I was just saying unethical or substitute for moral.
Okay. Okay.
Illegal or illegal murder.
Okay, if you said illegal, you could make the argument that it's unconstitutional, cruel and unusual. Anything else? All right, so they say it doesn't, it's not these reasons. So what is the alternative? What are they going to use?
License.
Yeah. Democrats like to believe in the idea of rehabilitation. Rehabilitation, meaning you could turn your life around. Yeah, you may be an extreme criminal today. Tomorrow, maybe you're not. Maybe you can be rehabilitated through the system. Maybe you find Jesus or find Muhammad or find whatever. Okay, and you can be rehabilitated. Okay, there is no rehabilitation if you are dead. So that's a Democratic argument. Okay, questions on that one? Republican. Red. Okay, Republican. It is necessary to have capital punishment. Capital punishment is just another way of saying the death penalty. It is necessary to have capital punishment to deter violent criminals. Criminals will say, "Oh, I'm not going to mess around in Texas, because if I kill somebody in Texas, they will kill me back." So it is necessary to have it as a deterrent. It deters people from committing violent crimes. Also, the idea of the death penalty kind of fulfills a biblical sense of vengeance and justice. Old Testament style, right?
Well,
No, not like Hammurabi, but people don't do right by God, and God smites them. Old school, So it has an old. I don't want to say old school. I'm not typing old school in the notes. An old feeling of vengeance / retribution, for the victims. Okay? All right, so we got our descriptions here. So let's look at some positives and negatives. So the Democrats, what are some benefits of having these opinions? Like,
It can save innocent people if you don't have that penalty.
there is a 100% potential for not ever killing innocent people. No innocent people will ever be put to death if there's no death penalty. That's a positive. Sarah?
all the money that's used on it could be put back into doing things like prison reform or something.
Okay. Using the money that is saved, not not utilizing the death penalty can be used for other reforms, and maybe even prison reforms. Dorothea Dix would be proud of you. Anybody else? Any other positives? I kind of like, some people kind of like the idea of, second chances. You get a second chance. You try to turn your life around. Now, obviously, extreme crime, we're talking, rape, murder, kidnapping, child molesting.
Dahmer-like stuff.
Yeah. You get 5 speeding tickets, you don't get the death penalty.
Yeah.
Okay? This is extreme crime. Extreme crime. Okay?
Bungie level.
Yeah. So it's potential. There is potential for rehabilitation, helping others. That's kind of a good American idea, people helping people. Okay, so those are some good things. All right. What about good things for the Republicans? Like
The money it saves, not keeping people in prison, and also limiting out how many people are in prison.
Okay, there is potential to limit the overcrowded prison population by killing off the worst. Not killing off.
Executing.
Putting to death the more violent, harsh criminal, like the worst of the worst. Like I said, I got 5 speeding tickets. Yeah. All right. Chase?
Slows the extreme crime rate down.
Okay, the deterrent aspect of it, like I'm not going to do that crime because I don't want to die. Okay, there is definitely potential for people to not engage in in criminal activity for fear of death. But the death penalty is only for violent type crimes. You don't, like if you're a drug dealer, even a billionaire drug dealer, you don't get the death penalty. It's only for violent criminals. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, what about some drawbacks? What's a drawback to the Democratic thing here? Chase.
Somebody getting out and committing that extreme crime again.
Okay, so, we say somebody gets rehabilitated and acting better, and then they go out and then they rape and murder somebody again. Okay, there's potential for that. Sure. That's the nature of our system, too. Sometimes bad people walk free. They do. It's not a perfect system, but it's the one we got. But there is potential for that. You're exactly right, Chase. All right, anybody else? Is that what you guys were going to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Hunter?
If there was a way to have these people in prison all the time, then it really wouldn't matter if you killed them or not.
Yeah.
But there is such things as parole and stuff.
There are.
And there's been cases in the news where people got out and killed a person, like the week they got out. So that's,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm not doing it.
A big criticism of Republicans on Democrats for this is rehabilitation. Are you kidding me? They're going to prison. They're surrounded by other criminals. The only rehabilitation they're getting is learning how to be a better criminal.
Well, I feel like the problem there stems from the actual system, not the death penalty.
So it's a systematic thing as opposed to an individual thing.
Yeah, that whole argument where it's like, oh, you're around more people that are criminals, you're going to become worse criminals. I think that stems from the actual prison system.
Okay.
Not just like a death penalty type thing.
Good point. Thank you, Sarah. Hunter?
Well, but another criticism I have is the people who committed these crimes, they didn't give. So let's say they murdered somebody. They didn't give them an option for life. So why do they deserve life anymore?
Okay. Good point. Anybody else? All right. What about some criticisms of this? Of the Republicans? What is some criticism of the death penalty? Obviously, you could kill innocent people.
It's expensive.
All right. Anything else?
Isn't it kind of unjust to do something based on vengeance?
Vengeance. Yeah, it's not very forgiving. There's no. It's like it's kind of weird. It seems kind of contradictory too. Yes, Blake.
I think it depends on how you word it, because you could say vengeance or you could say serving justice.
Justice and vengeance. How's that any different?
Yeah,
that's a good point.
If somebody murdered my dad, I'd want that son.
That's what I'm saying. If I put it in my, if I put my, never again. Okay. Put myself in somebody else's shoes. Like, if I know that somebody has done something to my son, touched him and then murdered him or something, am I going to care about their ability to rehabilitate?
No.
I don't know. I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes. There is a sense of retribution that people like, whether it's and sometimes when you have that, you're willing to forego some of this killing innocent people stuff. But this is a tough one. It really is, because this is one you can really see both sides of it. I think you can see both sides of it. So there are positives and negatives to both. There really are, and just like all these. But what I want you to do is decide which one that you think is the most effective for our country and one that you agree with the most. What is best? In your own opinion. Hey, Mr. Hayward.
Can I get your cleaner bottle?
Yeah.
I'll go down and get that done for you.
Hey, thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. And these guys appreciate it too, right, guys?
Oh, yeah. Hey, you're a little bit of help.
Yeah. Okay, so our next issue. Yeah, I'll do that one. Prayer in school. Now, this is the issue here is not if I were to say in class, okay, class, we're gonna have a pop quiz, and it's worth 10,000 points, and it's a 50-page essay, and you have until the end of class to finish it. And you say, "Oh God, please help me." That is not what the issue here is. This is not the issue, okay? What the issue here is if I were to say, okay, class, let's all hold hands, and I'm going to lead you in saying the Our Father. And then I do it and require you to do it. That is the issue here, okay? Prayer in public school, okay? The way I would like to define this is organized time spent on religion during school hours or with school personnel. All right? Organized time spent on religion during school hours with school personnel. So if on your own you just spontaneously say a little prayer to yourself, is that okay? Mm-hmm. That is not the issue here. And no one is saying you can't do that. No one has ever said you can't do that. Just like if you make the decision to never pray, nobody cares. All right? That is not the issue here. Individual prayer is not the issue. It's organized time spent on religion during school hours with school personnel. Okay? Or with school. I should put or. You can write it however you want. Okay? Either or. All right. Both sides have a pretty powerful argument here. Okay, Democrats, when it comes to prayer in school, they think it's a violation of the First Amendment. It's a violation of the First Amendment because there should be separation of church and state. It's a violation of the First Amendment because there should be separation of church and state. And allowing this to happen violates a person's freedom of religion because it is establishing religion. It's establishing it. So, it violates the Establishment Clause. There are two parts. All right, so it violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, which says government cannot establish religion. Okay? Government cannot establish religion. And if a part of school personnel, principal, teacher, custodian were to establish religion by establishing some sort of prayer or any kind of religious activity, that person would be violating the constitutional right of all of Americans by putting forth religion on people that may not want it or may disagree with it. That is a violation of the Establishment Clause. Yes?
So, like, what about prayer before a sports game?
Is it spontaneous and student-driven? If it is,
Yeah. Because it's like all the volleyball girls get together.
that's fine.
Alright.
The coach can't say, okay, you're going to say this prayer or I'm sitting you on the bench.
No.
That's Establishment Clause violation. You can't do that. Okay? Can the coach participate? Sure. Absolutely. Okay? But it has to be student-driven. It has to be student-driven. I don't know why my email always pops up. Student-driven. All right. Okay, so do we understand this? Makes sense. Well, what about the Republican side? So how could they possibly come back from an argument that says, thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir.
It says it's against the Constitution, the First Amendment. How can they possibly counter that argument? Guess what their argument is? If you don't allow it, it's against the Constitution. It violates the First Amendment. Because of the Free Exercise Clause. The freedom of religion has two parts, guys. Government cannot establish religion, and citizens have the right to freely exercise the religion of their choice. So, Republicans say, if you do not allow, if you don't allow those teachers or allow people to have prayer in school, you're violating their constitutional right to exercise their religion. Both are right. Both sides are 100% right. And both ways, you're violating the Constitution with whatever you choose to do. This is a gray area, isn't it? So, currently, the way it is, you guys feel free to pray amongst you. They pop quiz. And if you guys even said, if Sarah stood up and said, hey guys, let's all hold hands and say Our Father, I can't stop you. And you don't have to choose to participate. Okay? And also, I worked in Richmond for 2 years. Muslim kids, they have to pray 5 times a day. They need to get their little prayer mat out, face Mecca and pray. We got to let them do it. Because if we stop them, but then let the kids say a little prayer before sports, that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Okay? Yes, honey.
I'm not being mean, but like, how do they know which direction Mecca is? Like, I wouldn't know.
Believe it or
it's
not,
a
there's
joke.
technology now.
It's not a joke.
And there's an app
That shows you.
that shows you.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious.
Well, it's just GPS. It's not like witchcraft.
Is it like
I was just curious. Though.
Yeah.
No, that's it. I was just curious.
Yeah, what time of day where the sun is.
Yeah.
Muslims have always been really good at like astronomy, like the astrolabes and stuff. Really good at that.
I was really curious. Like,
That's how. Well, they do it in certain. They pray 5 times a day, and so at certain points the sun is in different locations, and so based on where they are on the earth, they use the sun. Then at nighttime, they use the stars.
that's actually pretty cool.
Cool.
It is cool. It's not the only religion that uses the stars and stuff. Anybody else? Man, what was I going to say? I had something else to say. What do you guys think? Because both are right here. Can everybody see it both ways at least?
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, everybody has their own opinion, but can you at least see both sides of it? Sure. Yes, Chase.
Would the separation of church and state also violate First Amendment?
No, it's all open.
Like,
I don't understand.
saying you have to follow separation of church and state in that violation? Wait.
No, because it means you aren't establishing anything, but it's not stopping you from doing
No, we have that in a lot of ways. Some ways we don't, like your money and a lot of ways. Yes, Blake.
So what would be the problem with like offering clubs or organizations for kids of certain religions, and if they want to join, they could?
As long as all right. So let's say you want to start Baptist club. Okay, so all the students that are Baptists are encouraged to join. And you guys meet on your own.
Yeah.
If you do have a meeting with a teacher or sponsor, it's after school hours. Okay, that's fine, and you're allowed to operate. But then if a student comes up and says, "I want to start Satan Club," you have to allow it.
That's fair.
You have to allow it. I want Satan Club, or I want There's Nothing After We Die Club. You have to allow it.
Realistic
Fairy
club?
club.
You have to allow it. The pasta, the spaghetti monster.
Spaghetti.
Yeah, flying
Flying
spaghetti.
spaghetti.
You have to allow it.
Yeah.
That's only fair. Okay? So that's why you see a lot of schools are just like, no clubs like that. No clubs like that. Because, yeah, I mean, it's wrong. I mean, you want to have your Bible club or whatever. Well, in your own opinion, sure. But if you want to let them, these other people you can't deny them their rights as well, based upon their beliefs. Make sense? So a lot of schools, they just don't want to fight that battle. So they just don't allow any of them. Don't allow any of them. Okay? Put a check mark by the one you agree with the most. Good question. Okay, this one kind of goes with other forms of protests as well. It's a very specific form. One that's not a new idea. It's old. Flag burning. Alright? This is a very specific type of protest. This is publicly setting on fire the American flag as an act of protest. As an act of protest.
Boom, she gone. I've been waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
There it comes. Okay, so publicly setting on fire the American flag is an act of protest. Democrats typically see this as an acceptable form of protest, even though it is distasteful. Because denying it would be a violation.
It would violate First Amendment.
That's right. Be a violation of a person's First Amendment right to free expression. So it's not like Democrats are like, yeah, go set all the flags on fire. Burn, baby, burn. That's not what this is about. The Democrats simply seek to preserve the Constitution, even though it's a distasteful thing. I went to a museum in New York City once. It was an art museum. And there was an artist whose stuff was on display, and on display it was a statue that he had made, and the statue's hand was out like this. Okay? Like it was just like a statue of a naked person. And in the statue there was a jar. And inside the jar was a crucifix that was upside down, and the jar was filled with urine.
Wow.
Is that distasteful
Extreme.
to many people? Yeah. Is it illegal?
No.
No. That person has the right to freedom of expression. Okay? Republicans. They say it is unacceptable because even though it is a form of expression, it is not what the Founding Fathers had in mind. They said, I don't think Thomas Jefferson had it in mind for people to set on fire the American flag when he was putting forth his 2 cents in writing the Constitution. No, he wasn't there. Benjamin Franklin. Alexander Hamilton. Those guys. It's unacceptable. And that makes sense too. I really don't think George Washington had in mind this when they were signing the Constitution.
It's not like they can fathom that.
Right. So I can see that too. They probably were just wanting to make sure that people can. When they were talking about freedom of expression, they didn't want the government to be able to suppress people from having an opinion when it came to letting the government know what they wanted. That's kind of the mind frame that they were in. However, those words are written in the Constitution, so it's all up for interpretation. It's just interpreted a little bit differently by Democrats and Republicans. Republicans are willing to wiggle a little bit on this one, whereas Democrats are more the letter of the law on this particular issue. Okay? So Republicans will say, yeah, of course it's not what they meant. Well, Democrats said, well, if you're going to wiggle on this, what else are you going to wiggle on? How else are you going to skirt the Constitution? So I see it both ways. Put a check beside the one that you agree with the most. Okay.
Would you be able to say that burning the flag is like a form of protest or something?
Okay, yes. Thank you for reminding me. When I was in college, George W. Bush's Gulf War was going on, okay? And there was a lady whose son died. He died in battle in Iraq or Afghanistan, all right? And she's upset. She didn't feel like it was necessary to be over there. She didn't feel like other people's sons should be dying. And she went on a crusade, traveling across America, giving speeches, and not a soul listened to her. Nobody. Nobody cared. Nobody listened to her. A lot of people cared. Nobody listened to her. Until one day, she goes to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue out front, the White House, and sets an American flag on fire and just stands there. Guess what was there within an hour? Every news organization in America. And guess what she had? A platform to speak her mind. And everybody listened. Because she did something very radical. Very radical. Okay? Did it work? Does she hate America? No. She wants to see America be better. She don't want other kids to go die. Did she have to do something pretty despicable to get people to listen to her? Sadly.
But is it her choice that her son went and died?
Is it her choice? Yeah, I guess we have a volunteer army. Nobody has to be forced in the military.
Exactly.
Right.
But it was her son's choice that he
He
wanted
did?
to fight for his country.
He certainly did. Absolutely. You're right. Sarah.
I think that a lot of people see it as not saying, America's so terrible and all that kind of stuff. They're not seeing it as, screw those soldiers and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think people see it as a way of denying America, denying the ideals of the country.
Okay.
And denying, the modern of it. So they're until you said, I want to improve it.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I want to throw away these ideals that they are built on.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Standing.
That's an interesting point. Anybody else? Anybody say, I don't care what your point is. You don't do that. Yeah. Okay. And that's fine too. It's pretty despicable. And, even the Democrats say it's distasteful. It is. Okay? So, good. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions? Or comments? Okay, very good. All right, next. The environment. Basically, just protecting nature. Obviously, both Democrats and Republicans want to have, it's not that one likes to drink dirty water and one likes to breathe dirty air. Okay? Everybody likes clean water. Everybody likes clean air. However, they're just a little bit different on how much wiggle room they're willing to give. Okay? All right. So, Democrats. Democrats believe that the environment needs to be protected and the government should be responsible for doing it. And those that violate these laws should be punished severely. And severe punishments for breaking them. Okay? Strict laws to protect the environment. And so, what is the federal government's agency that they utilize to monitor and protect the environment?
EPA.
The Environmental Protection Agency. For wildlife in the state of West Virginia, yes, that would be the Department of Natural Resources. And other types of wildlife. Okay? The Environmental Protection Agency is a federal organization, though. Federal government. Okay? So this is more that liberal idea. Big government. Government should take care of things. Use liberally, like shampoo, right? A big amount. So this is where government gets involved. All right? Republicans. Republicans say there should be some laws protecting the environment. But not too many. Because it's bad for business. Bad for business. Obviously, it's not, they want to drink clean water, breathe clean air. But they don't want to go over the top with it because it's bad for business. Before the Great Depression, we had a free market economy. Free market economy. Not a mixed economy like we have right now. It was free market. Very, very little government control. Okay? And if you owned a business, a chemical factory or whatever, and you wanted to dump your byproducts in the river, go for it. Okay? That was not an issue. And in fact, have you guys know what antifreeze is, right?
Yeah.
You know where antifreeze was invented?
Wasn't it
Donald
Donald
River.
River?
That's right, at the DuPont plant, just on the way to Charleston. You know how they discovered it? They were pumping it in the river, and in the middle of winter, the river was not freezing. And so they discovered this waste product that could be used for something. It didn't freeze. Antifreeze. Okay? That being said, why? So the Republicans don't want companies to be dumping antifreeze in the river. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? However, is it very costly? Is it expensive to get rid of certain chemicals in a very particular kind of way?
Yes.
Yes. So if you own a nuclear power plant and you have nuclear waste, yeah, you could just dig a hole in the ground and then cover it with earth. You could do that, but is it probably the best for the environment? Probably not. I'm not a big nuclear. I don't know much about it, but should it probably be handled in a different way? But yeah, is it more costly to handle it in a more careful way? Very costly. It's very costly. Like, even our school. Our school has not provided me with any masks. No, not one. Not one. Now, our school is not a business. I mean, I've had to buy every mask I've had. That right there is the only cleaning product I've been given. Okay? Yeah. And then once it's gone, it's gone. But is this stuff free? Does it cost money? Yeah, it costs money. Okay, so in order but do we have rules on the books that say you got to wear a mask, got to keep cleaning this after everything? Yeah, well, they better provide them for me. Okay, but that stuff costs money. Was it cheaper to have school last year? Yeah, they didn't have to buy any of this stuff. They didn't have to do all this stuff, and put down all the tape and all the signs, and it was way cheaper to have school last year. But we have rules that have been put forth by the government to keep people safe, and so everybody has to adhere to them. Think of it like this: like, let's say the government. This has nothing to do with nature, but you get the metaphor. Let's say that in the 1970s, this is what happened. The United States government put forth a law that says you have to wear seatbelts. Is that a good law?
Yeah.
Does it save lives?
Yeah. Yes.
Previous to this law being made, did cars have to put seatbelts in their? Did car companies have to put seatbelts in? After this law, did they have to?
Yes.
Yes. What happens to the price of the car? It goes up because the government is requiring that these companies do things. Does the company want to have put seatbelts in the car?
Probably not.
No. It makes their car more expensive, and they have to pass that cost on to the consumer. Businesses do not want to be told what to do by the government, even if it's a good thing. Seatbelts, intrinsically good?
Yep.
Yes. Do they want to put them in there? No. Why? Because it costs money. They had to retool their entire factory to add a seatbelt in. Okay? Now, it's not that car companies are evil people or evil entities. They're businesses. And what are businesses' purpose? Make money. That's what they're intended to do. So, apply that rationale, apply that metaphor to the environment. Okay? The environment is something that benefits who? Everybody. Everybody likes to breathe. Everybody likes to drink clean water. But there's going to be different ways of doing it. Democrats, lots of regulations, lots of government interference. Republicans, butt out, let the businesses kind of take care of it. They want to drink clean water too, so they won't dump too much in the river. All right? Put a check by the one that you agree with the most. All right. Last one. Taxes. This is not a big state in the southwest of America. It's Texas. Who could give me a definition of taxes?
Money of the government.
state takes away from you.
Yes. Money that the government takes from citizens and is spent by the government. Once you get a job, guys, many of you probably already have jobs, you will discover the awesome wonder of having your checks.
10%.
Oh, try 30%.
Mine's only 10 right now.
It depends on
Depends on how much money you make. I don't pay taxes. When I get my paycheck, it's already gone.
Yeah.
They take it. It's called federal withholding. They take it off the top. I never even see it. Gone. And it hurts.
Well, if you don't see, you don't have to worry about how much money you're leaving.
Well, that's true. That's true. However, I also like to drive on nice, smooth roads. I like to know that when I pick up the phone and call the police, that somebody's going to show up. Or, I like to have those kinds of services. And that is what's provided with your taxes. That being said, it would be awfully nice if I had a little bit more in my bank account. Like, I won't call the police so much. Just put a little bit more back in there. I don't know. That's just a joke. Okay, so when it comes to taxes, the Democrats, you guys can probably already figure this out, because the Democrats want larger government. It costs more money. They want more government control. They want more government programs. They want to help the lower classes of people. Well, it costs money. And so naturally you're going to need higher taxes.
Mine's the opposite.
typically favor higher taxes. They also think people that have the most money should pay the most taxes. People that have the most money should pay the most taxes. All right. I'll do the Republicans, and then I'll do. Am I running out of time?
It's 12:35.
Yeah. We have 1 minute left, so I will finish this one tomorrow, and we'll do. So, yeah,
Wait, we won't be here tomorrow.
right. Well, you got YouTube,
Oh, yeah.
and all my people listening at home. What up? All right. So I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good week, and all my people at home, I see you tomorrow. Come ready to learn.
So you're gonna finish this tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll finish it up tomorrow. Later on.